Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about one of the most powerful mental models you can ever use, leverage. It's kind of the hidden force behind almost every huge success story. The real secret to getting those outsized results from a focused effort. I mean, have you ever just stopped and wondered why some actions, or some people, or even some ideas seem to get results that are just wildly, crazily out of proportion to the work that was put in? Look, it's not about working 1,000 times harder. No way. It's about finding that one right idea, that one perfect pivot point that can literally move an entire industry. We see this play out all through history, right? From massive business empires to political dynasties that last for generations. The answer to this whole puzzle is a concept you've definitely heard of, but maybe you haven't really applied it in this way. It's the secret sauce for getting those non-linear, exponential outcomes. And let's be crystal clear here. This isn't about getting lucky. Not at all. We're talking about a mechanism, a repeatable force multiplier that is the real difference between just putting in the hours and getting exponential results. And to really get this, we've got to go way, way back. Thousands of years, actually. Because this whole secret starts with a really, really simple machine. Archimedes wasn't just bragging about physics here. He understood something fundamental about the universe, that with the right tool and in the right position, a small, focused force could do something that seemed totally impossible. And this is the core idea. Leverage isn't about creating energy out of thin air. It's not magic. It's about being smart, redirecting and amplifying the force you already have. Okay, so this is the physics behind it, right? And this formula might look a little intimidating, but all it's really saying is that a small force applied a long way from that pivot point can move a massive weight. But, and this is key, there's always a trade-off. To get that incredible power, you have to apply your own smaller force over a much, much greater distance. But leverage isn't just stuck in a physics textbook. This principle is absolutely everywhere. So let's talk about the modern levers, the ones that are actually moving worlds today. First up, we've got physical leverage. This is the classic, the one Archimedes was talking about. From a simple crowbar getting a rock out of the ground to a complex pulley system. These are the tools that give us what is basically superhuman strength. They multiply the force we can apply. Next is financial leverage. A mortgage on a house is a perfect example of this, right? Your relatively small down payment controls a much, much larger asset. And the absolute master of this was Warren Buffett. He famously used something called insurance float, which is basically other people's money that his company was holding temporarily to fuel his investments and build an absolute empire. Then there's knowledge leverage. Think about a highly skilled surgeon. She can perform a life-saving operation in just a couple of hours that you or I couldn't do in 20 years, or ever. That specialized expertise is the lever. It creates immense value where other people just see a huge, complex problem. And now, for what is probably the most powerful lever of our time, technology. Just think about this for a second. One line of code can be written just one time, and then it can serve millions or even billions of people instantly, and with basically zero cost to replicate. That is leverage on a scale we've never seen before in human history. We also have what's called relational leverage. This is the power of your network, your reputation. A trusted name can bring in resources, rally support, and open doors that no amount of money could ever buy. It's an incredibly powerful lever, for sure, but it's one you have to build slowly, piece by piece over time. This leads us to positional leverage. This is all about being the gatekeeper of a critical resource. Think of OPEC's control over global oil supplies. Just by holding that one strategic position, a small group of nations got a massive lever to influence the entire global economy. And hey, do not underestimate temporal leverage. In pretty much any negotiation, the person who is less desperate, the one who can truly afford to wait, almost always holds the most power. Patience isn't just a virtue, it's a strategic weapon. And finally, there's institutional leverage. This is all about understanding the rules of the game, things like the tax code or legal structures. Knowing how the system works provides this hidden but incredibly powerful advantage that's pretty much invisible to people who don't. But, and this is probably the most critical lesson of all, a lever is amoral. It just doesn't care about good or evil. It simply amplifies whatever force is applied to it. So let's just look at two polar opposites here. On one hand, you have Eleanor of Aquitaine, who used her vast lands as a lever to shape European history for decades. And then, on the other hand, you have the early 20th century coal companies who use their total control over land and jobs to basically enslave their workers. And here's where it gets really dark. The coal towns didn't just use one lever, they stacked them. They combined resource control with monetary control with political control. And by doing that, they created this nearly inescapable system that left workers with absolutely no other options. So, okay, this brings it all back home. Back to you. How can you take these incredibly powerful principles and find a way to apply them, ethically of course, in your own life? Well, you can actually do this with a simple little diagnostic. Let's call it a leverage audit. Just look at your efforts. Are your results pretty much directly proportional to your input? If so, that's just brute force. But if your output is way, way bigger, that's leverage. And your next step is to figure out exactly what that mechanism is. And this, right here, is the key takeaway. Most of us dramatically, and I mean dramatically, underestimate the leverage we already have. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. In your unique knowledge, in your relationships, in your current position, what is the hidden lever that you just haven't used yet?